It is time for your Thursday Process Ninja tip. And this week we are going to be talking about communication and breaking down those silos. Now, I came out of Target Corporation and we had a lot of silos because we had, 10,000, 14,000 corporate employees. And so it made sense that there were silos there. It made sense to me. When I branched out of Target and got to smaller companies where there were 10 people within the office, it was very shocking to see silos also there. And silos are one of the most common process killers. They are one of the most common things that us process ninjas go into organizations and we break down, we chop them, just like our little logo. We do our ninja stuff and we break down those silos because they are probably the number one cause of errors, frustration, animosity, anger, you name it. It's of a lot of pain comes from having all of these silos. And so the biggest encouragement I have to everyone is break down those silos and open up the communication between the different teams. It's amazing how much you can solve with sometimes a simple 30-minute meeting where two teams can talk about, what they get from each other and what works for them and what doesn't. Because what I've found happens most often is that we think the other people are doing things to us on purpose. We think that the other team is sending us the wrong information or sending us the information incorrectly because they are just evil people at heart and they want to make our lives miserable. And it's just always been that way. These two teams can never get along. But the reality is that 99.9% of people are trying to do their best. Their main goal is to be successful. So if they are sending you the incorrect information, it is because they believe, or they've been trained, whatever, they believe that they are doing their job the right way. And until you tell them otherwise, they're going to continue to do it that way. And so one of the quickest and easiest process ninja solutions is to open up the lines of communication between different teams, create feedback loops, have conversations about what's working for them, what's working for us, what's working for them, what's not working, and create solutions together. Because when you communicate and you create solutions together or brainstorm solutions against, this one problem that you're having consistently, you have a lot better teams. It opens up communication for future, mishaps. It creates collaboration and it can solve problems that have been plaguing your organization for years. It can solve, in that half-hour meeting. It's amazing how often I get into a meeting and if one team says, I wish you could give me this information. I get these 10 pieces of information, but I wish I could have, 2 more pieces of information. It would make my life so much easier because I spend hours searching for this information. And then the other team says, well, we have that right now. We could give it to you any second. We just didn't know that you needed it. And then life is much better for everyone involved. And so silos are the silent killers to organizations. So break those down, open up the lines of communication, and start having your teams work together rather than working against each other. I just can't express how huge of a concept this is, how simple, but yet how huge this is for so many organizations that I have worked with. I have literally done half-day reviews of people's processes going to 3 or 4 different teams. And by the end of that day, I know more about what is happening, then all those teams involved. There's been some where I get to that fourth team and they're just like, I don't know why this information comes in this way. I don't know where it comes from. And I'm able to answer, oh, well, it's because this team is doing this, and this is the reason why they decided to do this. And then it opens up their eyes like, oh, okay, I guess that makes sense. Or it opens up the, brings that question of like, well, could they do it a different way? Because that would make my life easier. And then it begins that dialogue. And the one I remember the most, it was an office of, there were 10 people in this office space. So literally these two teams that were frustrated with each other and didn't know what the other team was doing and why, were 10 feet away from each other. I mean, you could yell your question to that person. It's not like, it's a large corporation that, you had to spend months just trying to figure out which team gets the information after you. And you have to, go to different floors or different buildings to have conversations with them. This was happening in a space where, everyone was, there's 10 desks in this little area. And it shocks me, just that fear of communicating. So if you were a manager, I would encourage setting up those meetings between the different teams if there's frustration, and having them work together to collaborate and brainstorm and give them that encouragement and that trust and that influence to fix those problems themselves, fix them with the people that they work with day to day. So sorry, that got a little rambly, but moral of the story, break down those silent silos and open up the lines of communication, and you will be shocked and amazed at the level of improvement and the increase in morale that you are able to accomplish.